Hello and welcome to Binya Outdoors Bass Class. For those of you who are not familiar with me, not familiar with my channel, my entire goal is to teach anglers of all skill levels how to catch more bass, how to catch bigger bass, but the most important thing is how to do this whole thing on a budget. Let's not break the bank to enjoy this hobby, but also be able to get out there and catch the biggest fish of your life. If that's something that interests you, please keep watching. For today's topic, I want to talk about fishing jigs, specifically ball head and arky head jigs. The jig is a bait that intimidated me when I started bass fishing. This is a bait that I wasn't sure about. I knew you could catch fish on it. I've done a lot of research on it, but I just had trouble with it and I couldn't figure it out. So I want to simplify things, make this a really easy video to follow, make this a really easy way for you to start catching fish today. First of all, the jig is a must-have in your tackle box. Again, I said I was intimidated, but I'm telling you, pick up a couple of jigs, get them in your tackle box, practice with them, and you will start to catch fish. When it comes to color selection, keep it super simple. Brown, black, blue. That's all you need. Any other colors, any other specialness to it, don't even worry about it. Stick with your craw patterns, your browns, your green pumpkins, your black and blues, and that's it. Don't chase the rainbow. Don't go through and buy all the colors that they have. All you need is those basic colors. When it comes to sizes, I tend to stick with 1/4 and 1/2 ounce. You can get them up to 3/4, full ounce, and then 100 different sizes in between. But I stick with 1/4 and 1/2. Those do me well. If you're going to be punching heavy grass, things like that, there's really a different way to do that. You can use a punch rig. There's a lot more easier setups than trying to use a big jig. So before we go into how to catch these fish, you have to go into where. Now you can fish a jig anywhere. Don't think that you can't fish a jig in open water. You can skip them under docks. You can skip them under laydowns. But this is where I love to fish a jig. And the reason for that is there is no other bait other than maybe a topwater frog that's going to get through this crap. If they're not hitting topwater, they're underneath all of this. And you know there's fish in here. You know that they're hiding out under this cover, getting away from the sun, getting away from the boats. This is a place that is prime for fishing a jig. You see those little holes just in front of my boat there along the edges? Drop that bait right in those holes. Let it fall down through and those fish will grab it on the way down because they're waiting to ambush this bait. When it comes to trailers, keep it really simple. Berkley Chigger Craw and Power Bait scent or Max scent, either way. Berkley Chigger Craw will not do you wrong. It is the simplest bait that you can use, or if you don't like Berkley or for some reason you don't want to use this specific product or can't find it, get a craw in this kind of pattern. Green pumpkin for a green pumpkin, black for black. Sometimes you can mix and match a green pumpkin with a black, but ultimately something with a few paddle feet, something like that shape right there, you'll never go wrong. When you put these trailers on, take this weed guard, push it out of the way, take your trailer, you just thread that thing up on that bait. And you just keep threading it until the hook is towards the back of the bait, pop it through, slide it over. There will be a keeper on most jigs. Just slide that bait up past that keeper, and that's all there is to it. Pretty simple to rig these. They kick, they make a lot of commotion in the water, and you catch fish on them. Now as far as fishing these, let's go see some on the water footage to show you how I fish them. So the most common way I fish a jig is actually to get that bait in contact with the bottom and just drag it. So I get it casted out, I wait till that bait hits the bottom, and I raise my rod tip up and I drag it. You will learn to feel, and depending on how sensitive your equipment is, if you're fishing with straight braid and a rod that's properly set up, you'll feel it. You'll feel hard cover versus soft cover. You'll feel rocks. You'll feel wood. You'll be able to tell over time and with practice what kind of cover is down there. You'll be able to tell where the holes are, where the dips are. You'll be able to feel that bait pop up off of wood. Kill it when you feel that. Let it sit there. Let it float back down. Drag it across rocks and stop. Pause. Wait. And then just keep working that bait back towards your boat. Work it slow and purposely keep that bait in contact with the bottom at all times. It will greatly improve how many fish you catch by keeping that thing in contact with the bottom as long as you possibly can. Now, one thing I do want to mention, when you get a fish to bite, it'll feel odd. And it's the best way I can explain it is tunk. It will feel different. You'll feel that bottom contact, you'll feel that rock, but you'll feel this thunk on your line. And once you feel it the first time, you'll know exactly what I mean. And anyone who's watching this, who's caught a bass on a jig, knows what I mean. You'll feel a thump. Now you don't want to swing right on that thump. You want to give them a second. You want to give that bait a chance to sit inside that fish's mouth just for a slight hesitation. I like to use a moderate action rod for that reason, to give me that buffer. When you feel that tunk, you need to swing hard. You want to get that heavy wire hook to punch through that fish's face. Now, I'm not saying you need to rock the boat or throw yourself out of the boat setting it so hard. Don't break your rod, but you do have to give it a little bit more oomph behind that hook set. It doesn't even have to be super, super hard. Like, for example, you'll see right here, watch my shoulder. You'll see me actually lean into it. Give it a little extra than I would with a swim bait. That will help you to not pop that fish's mouth open. It'll make sure that hook drives through. And again, that hesitation and that hard hook set will drive that hook through and bring that fish back to the boat for you. Sometimes jig fishing can be as easy as letting the current do the work. As you see here, I'm just cleaning out my boat. I'm not really doing anything. I got my rod tip up high, I casted that thing out there, and I'm just letting the current naturally take me where it's going to take me, and I just keep my rod tip up, let that bait drag across the bottom. I can feel the bottom contact, so I know it's still there. I can raise or lower my rod to make sure it stays where it's supposed to be, but ultimately, I'm just letting the current drag me along and using that to keep my bottom contact. Sometimes it's just simple as that. Just letting nature pull you along and letting that bait do its work. This particular fish ended up being a PB of mine, and it just proves that fishing a jig can produce bigs like this one. So in summary, the jig is a bait that can be used in every single season. It can be used everywhere to catch fish. It catches little fish, it catches big fish, it catches numbers of fish, and I would not hesitate to go out and buy one today and make sure that you have a couple in your boat at all times. Again, keep it simple with colors. Green pumpkin, black blue. Be very simple with colors. Weights, 1/4 ounce, 1/2 ounce. That's all you need. You can make your own jigs. Check out my jig making video. That'll tell you how to do that as well. If you don't want to buy them, you can make your own. Fairly cheap. That's the key with this bait, is it's very versatile. It's not super expensive. Now again, you do need special equipment. You need a heavy or medium heavy rod. I recommend a moderate action to give you that buffer when you're setting that hook. And you need braid. I recommend using at least 40-pound braid, if not more, especially if you're fishing heavy cover. You don't need a leader. Some guys will use a floral leader. You can do that if you really want, but honestly, I don't find that it's as useful. Just use straight braid, tie it right to the jig head. Don't use a snap, don't use a swivel, tie straight to that head, cast it out, and catch some fish. That is why I wanted to make this video. It's why I wanted to talk about it. Again, I was super intimidated by this bait. I thought that there was way more to it than there is, and honestly, as soon as I figured it out, I will never not have a jig in my boat, and I will never not have a jig tied on. I hope you guys liked this video. I hope I provided you with information, gave you some confidence to go out and buy a jig, try it on the water. I guarantee it'll help you catch more fish. and bigger fish as well. If you guys did like this video, please give me some comments down below. Give me some ideas on different types of topics you want me to cover. I've got a lot of time on my hands this winter, and I'm looking to make as many videos as I can to educate everyone so that we can all get out there and catch more fish.